Hello, our group is Ricardo, Andy, Kevin, and Brian. It is June 10, 2019, and it is 1 o'clock p.m., and we are in North Hills. We are covering the topic of education reform in the United States.
A student is struggling to make grades due to poor teacher instructions and the lack of resources. At the same time, he has to make it home early to take care of his sick grandmother. After that, his mother comes home from work tired and angry. Now he gotta cook for his little sister. With all these distractions, it is difficult to focus back on schoolwork. He often does not consider the benefit of university. He does not think he will graduate on time. Who will help this poor?
Our essential question is, how will education reform improve the state of the United States government and quality of American society? Education reform is the process of improving the current state of the educational system by implementing several changes to benefit teachers and students.
What is education reform? Education was first introduced to America in the mid-1800s. Its main goal was to make education more available to more children. Horace Mann, the father of public schools, led a movement that would impact America's education. According to the document, Education Reform, it did not succeed at first. In cities, some poor children stole and destroyed property.
But now education reform is needed once again in our contemporary society. According to Natalie Wexler from 3 Mistakes We Need to Fix Education Reform to Succeed, the gap between the scores of higher and lower income students has only expanded. Natalie Wexler explains that students with lower incomes have had lower test scores compared to higher income students. This is evidence that suggests that students with lower incomes often have to live off minimum resources. Just as there is a large gap between test scores with low and high income students, there is also a gap of success between the two groups.
According to Matthew Lynch, this is a particular blow to areas with high rates of poverty. Students in these areas not only suffer from lack of resource at home, but the schools must also scrape by on the minimum. Lynch continues to describe that students with low income often do not have as many opportunities open to them. As a result of this, students are not motivated to branch out to other great doors like university because they have only had minimum of their education. Furthermore, lower income students are unavailable to find success past a high school degree.
According to this graph by Pew Research Center, it is noticed that compared to other countries, the United States, a very wealthy country, stands in the middle with its math, science, and reading test scores. A country with as much as wealth that the United States has should not provide medical education.
What is your opinion towards education reform?
I think it is definitely something that is needed. Our school systems are not as good as they could be, and we need to do something to change it. So definitely needed.
Do you agree or disagree with this situation in our society or how it's being controlled?
Which situation are you talking about? The way that
Education reform, do you
I think there are a lot of good ideas, but no, I don't agree with the way that it's being handled because it is not being communicated to voters well enough, and we need to do something more than just vote to give more money. It needs to be more specific.
Why is it important to you and to society in general?
Well, it's important to me because it's my job to make sure that everyone gets a good education, and I think that there are a lot of things that are out of my control. For example, my class sizes and what happens before students get to me. There's a lot of things out of my control, so if education can be reformed, then that's going to make my job easier, and it's going to make your guys' lives better.
Have you ever been impacted by something like education reform?
Well, yeah, in a very general sense, because I'm a teacher, and so anything that affects education does affect me. Slightly less so because it's a charter school, but in general, I think that any decisions that are made about education affect me and you.
Our solutions are that an innovative and more effective educational curriculum should be written for all public schools. The curriculum should be clear to educators and should provide teachers with enough materials to teach their courses, as well as more teacher trainings for young educators to give more skills to teachers after college. These solutions are important so that every student is able to branch out to greater doors like university. This process will help to improve the productivity of society as citizens in America would feel more motivated to enter the university environment. This would also help to improve the current state of the U.S. government as students would put back more work into the U.S. government. This would cause a domino effect as students would start to partake in greater opportunities like university. Those students would help to inspire other future generations so that America has a bright future. Here is our works cited. Thank you for listening.